The long-running beef between Moneyback Yo and Big 30 flared up again. Just when folks thought it cooled, shots started flying and bodies kept dropping. It's a wild street battle in Memphis, and in July 2024, Big 30 unloaded a new diss that aired Moneyback out loud and clear. Big 30 went hard, saying Moneyback never actually did the street stuff he raps about, that he's all talk and no action. The whole thing traces back to Noki, who was Big 30's cousin and the bridge between the two camps. Noki signed to Moneyback's label years ago, but he kept a foot in the streets and was unalived in January 2022, which changed everything. Noki was reportedly heavy in the streets and his passing hit Big 30 deep. After Noki died, Big 30 dropped the track Noki Living, where he vents that pain and calls out fake loyalty. In the song, he flexes about protecting his crew and says he'll handle business his way. The tone was icy and personal. Moneyback acted like he was tight with Noki, but he didn't show up for the funeral, and that absence got dragged in Big 30's bars. The new track hits on loyalty, respect, and the cost of playing both sides. Big 30's lines cut sharp and the city heard it. This ain't just music, it's personal. Then Big 30 blasted Moneyback for switching up on people in the streets, saying you ain't a stand-up guy no more. You fold under pressure. He called him a yes man, glued to the wrong crew, and said he stopped sliding when things got real because that life wasn't for him. Big 30 put morals over money and called out the fake loyalty. He labeled Moneyback a fraud, plain and simple. Big Dirty jumped in and said he even gave Moneyback heavy jewelry, and Moneyback tried to play it off. Big Dirty fired back saying, I figured out why you left me, why you lying on me. He claims he lent the jewelry, paid it back, and watched Moneyback brag like he earned it. What kind of CEO acts like that for clout for everyone to see? Then Big 30 hinted Moneyback had gone under the knife and questioned his authenticity. Tell me a time you saw me without a strap, he said, pointing to being real on the block. He made it clear he wouldn't pay a doctor to redo his face. That ain't his thing. The drama kept boiling over, and Moneyback answered on a track right after, so the feud kept escalating. On Moneyback's response, he went at the rap scene and the fake flexers, calling out clout chasers and mask accounts who only show up for likes. He said he's been grinding in his bag, and he doesn't need Instagram followers to prove it. He also tried to label Big 30 broke and act like he doesn't need security in the club. Bold claims for sure. Most of the talk comes from the sidelines, but the bars keep landing and folks are picking sides in the streets and online. Moneyback even accused Big 30 of pillow talk and blamed problems on pills, lean, and cash, basically trying to paint him as unstable. This whole back and forth is loud, messy, and personal, and the city is watching every line drop. They called each other out as fake, real ones versus clout chasers. Then Moneyback fired back at the plastic surgery rumors, saying he's calling it like he sees it. Why would he mess with his face? He roasted folks who flex about the gym but don't even train, calling them out for being out of shape and fake. Big 30 had accused Moneyback of not really being from the streets, and Moneyback shot back the same way, claiming Big 30 talks tough but ain't the one pulling triggers. These dudes keep talking gangster online, but the real ones know who's for real and who's all noise. Moneyback warned Big 30 not to press him and claimed nobody could name a time he's been punked. He dared people to check for themselves. He called a lot of the chatter cap and told folks not to assume things without proof. The tension kept building and people were watching every move. Big 30 responded on social media, pointing out how Moneyback's been in the rap game for 15 years but now calls other artists fake. He pushed the idea that Moneyback's street life is exaggerated, saying the wildest thing he does is smoke weed in places where it's legal, not exactly street lore. What started as an unreleased diss from Big 30 blew up when Moneyback answered with a track that aired him out. The beef also dragged in business drama. Big 30 had been complaining about his deal with Moneyback's Bread Gang label, and he felt moves were made behind his back. Moneyback defended the label flex, saying if he signs you, he lets you shine. But Big 30 saw it different and the distrust grew. Now the story's about more than rap bars. It's about loyalty, deals, and who's playing who in the streets and the boardroom. The back and forth kept escalating and fans split sides as each new drop threw more shade into the mix. Let's wake it up, be for real, Moneyback barked back, claiming Big 30 was just capping to get out of his deal. He made it clear he wasn't hurting for money and said Big 30 was twisting stories for sympathy. Back when Big 30 first hit the rap scene, he was blowing up alongside his homie Pooh Shiesty. The two were unstoppable, building a real street wave and stacking up major numbers. But in 2020, everything changed when Pooh Shiesty got locked up for a shooting and robbery down in Florida. Those two had been close since before fame. But once Shiesty got hit with that 5-year sentence, Big 30's momentum slowed way down. When Pooh first went viral, he signed to Gucci Mane's 1017 label, and Gucci even wanted to bring Big 30 on board too, but he was already locked in with CMG under Moneyback's wing. At that time, Big 30 stayed loyal to CMG, believing Moneyback had his back, but that loyalty came with tension. Word spread that Gucci Mane was low-key mad Big 30 didn't sign, and that's when a new feud started. Big 30 once posted a flick with Pooh and Gucci by a pool during a video shoot showing love, but Gucci wasn't feeling it one bit. He jumped in the comments saying, "K.A. stop posting me. Dude, we met once." That comment blew everything up online fast. They traded shots back and forth for a while before finally patching it up and dropping a collab track together, but the energy was never the same. And now, looking back, staying with CMG might have been a costly move, because once Pooh Shiesty got locked, Big 30's buzz started fading, and his label ties turned cold. Moneyback used all of that in his new diss, calling Big 30 fake and lazy for not keeping the fire going when his day one got locked. He rapped about standing firm while Big 30 stopped putting on, painting him like he lost the hunger. But to really get how all this tension exploded, you gotta rewind, back to when Moneyback was hustling hard on the south side of Memphis at just 15, grinding in the streets before any record deal ever came his way. Back in the day, Moneyback Yo was rapping on the side, never really thinking it could turn into real money, until life almost ended for him. After some ops nearly took him out, he switched his whole mindset and started taking rap serious. He hit the booth like it was survival, pushing out songs non-stop and turning pain into bars that started catching attention all across Memphis. At first, Moneyback stayed independent, grinding from the ground up with no big label help, just mixtapes and word of mouth. He made the streets talk with his solo drops, and soon his name was ringing all through the city. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti was already one of Memphis's biggest stars, holding down the north side heavy. But that came with a problem, because Memphis has always been divided between the north and south, and that tension ran deep for decades. Still, Yo Gotti saw potential and wanted to sign Moneyback to CMG. And once that deal went through, Moneyback's career exploded. He was running up numbers and getting major buzz, but that new move came with street smoke too. Back before the fame, Moneyback was part of a crew called Young Mob, with his homies Stupid Duke and a bunch of other Southside hitters. But once he linked with Yo Gotti, Young Mob cut ties instantly. It wasn't just some petty jealousy either. There was real blood tension between Yo Gotti and Young Mob. Around 2010, one of Young Mob's top affiliates, OG Boo Dirty, had deep beef with Gotti. One night outside a Memphis club, things went left. Words turned to fists when Boo Dirty allegedly swung first, and chaos broke out. Both sides drew their weapons and gunfire lit up the night. When it ended, one person was passed. After that, everyone knew the North versus South tension wasn't just talk. It was battle-level serious. OG Boo Dirty and Moneyback both came out of Walker Homes in South Memphis, and Moneyback had even appeared in Boo Dirty's old diss video aimed at Yo Gotti. So when Moneyback later signed with Gotti's CMG, the streets saw it as betrayal. And that move still haunts the Memphis rap scene to this day. What made everything even messier is that Moneyback Yo used to be cool with Young Dolph too. When Moneyback was first trying to break into rap, Dolph actually looked out. He even jumped on a track for free. That cosign meant a lot in Memphis. But when Dolph and Yo Gotti started beefing, it instantly put Moneyback in the middle of a street and industry crossfire. See, Gotti originally wanted Dolph under CMG, but Dolph wasn't going for it. He wanted to stay independent and build his own empire without being tied to another rapper. Gotti didn't take that rejection well, and that's when the tension started boiling over. They started throwing shade in interviews, dropping subliminals in songs, and before long, the beef turned real. At first, the situation wasn't too deep. Moneyback tried to stay neutral and keep his focus on music. Around that same time, he linked up with Finesse 2 times, another Memphis artist known for his street stories and raw flow. Finesse had just come home after a 2010 stretch for aggravated robbery and joined forces with Moneyback's Bread Gang crew. Finesse claimed he even helped write some bars and passed a few tracks to Moneyback. That's how close they were. But then Finesse wanted to jump into Yo Gotti's beef with Dolph, and Moneyback told him to chill. He didn't want the smoke. That didn't sit right with Finesse, who started calling Moneyback soft for not standing on business. From there, tension grew between them too, while the Gotti-Dolph beef kept spiraling. Before long, this wasn't just rap talk. People were actually getting shot at, and everyone in Memphis knew the danger behind every bar. What fans didn't realize at the time was how deep these connections ran. Dolph, Big 30, and Big 30's cousin Noki were all tied together through the streets. Dolph was affiliated with a crew called Trula Mafia, one of the wildest sets in the city, and he was tight with a guy named J Money from that camp. J Money had a rep. People in Memphis whispered that he was one of the most active dudes out there. When he was just 18, J Money allegedly got booked for a fatal shooting involving one of his own homies, a tragedy that left the whole block stunned. Word is, he saw a car rolling up, started firing, and chaos broke out. His homie Denzel Monroe was caught in the middle and never made it out. Stories like that show how wild and unpredictable the Memphis scene really is. Loyalty, betrayal, and tragedy are all tangled up in the same streets. J Money's story took a tragic turn. After his homie Denzel jumped out the whip, J Money allegedly kept firing and ended up unaliving him by mistake. Somehow, he beat the case and walked free, then tried to shift his focus toward rap, turning his name into something bigger. He started linking up with Dolph in the studio, and word spread fast that J Money was close to signing with Dolph's Paper Route Empire label. But the streets had other plans. In 2016, J Money was gunned down outside a Memphis club, a loss that shook the whole Trula Mafia set to the core. He wasn't just another name, he was one of their biggest members, someone everyone in the crew respected. After his passing, things inside Trula started to crumble. Rumors spread that Big Scar was messing with the same girl as J Money's brother, D Money, and that personal drama split the crew apart. Big Scar and a few others broke away, forming their own set called Rich Ruthless, also known in the streets as Double R. But peace didn't last. A Double R member started beefing with a Trula affiliate named C-Mo, and that's when all hell broke loose. BG, one of Double R's young members, was sending direct shots at CMO online, dissing him in posts and stories. Then one night, BG was riding through Memphis with another Double R affiliate named 23 when everything went dark. Shooters rolled up and let it off, lighting up their car. BG was hit and ended on the spot, while 23 barely made it out alive. Word spread fast that C-Mo and his homies, Zay and Go Crazy, were behind the hit. Go Crazy ended up taking the fall, but C-Mo got booked on another charge and sent to juvie, while Zay stayed free, at least for a while. Not long after, Zay himself was unalived, and the talk in the city was that Double R handled that revenge. But Trula Mafia wasn't letting that slide. They allegedly hit back, taking out 23 in retaliation. The cycle of revenge just kept spinning, one body after another, until nobody could even tell who fired first anymore. Through it all, J Money's brother D Money kept trying to hold it down for Trula Mafia, carrying the name in a city where every move could be your last. But even D Money didn't make it out. He was slayed too, and the word on the streets was that an alleged Double R member named Big Unk was behind it. Some folks claim Big Unk wasn't officially Double R though, that he was really from KSBG and TTK, just tight with some of the Double R dudes. Either way, the line between those sets was messy, and the Trula Mafia versus Double R beef had the whole city on edge. That's why people were stunned when young Dolph signed Big Unk to his label. See, Dolph had always been cool with Trula Mafia when J Money was alive, but after that split, he got closer with Double R. He was never deep in the beef himself, but fans thought it was wild that he'd signed the guy rumored to have unalived his old homie's brother. That move shocked Memphis. Then tragedy hit again. In 2021, young Dolph was gunned down in broad daylight, a homicide that tore through the whole city. One of the shooters was revealed to be Straight Drop, a Trula Mafia affiliate who also had connections to Yo Gotti and CMG, and according to the other shooter in the case, Yo Gotti's brother Big Jook was the one who allegedly put the money up for the hit. What made it even more tangled was that Big 30 and his cousin Noki were both cool with Straight Drop before the whole situation. Big 30 also had ties to some Double R members like Big Scar, but things got complicated after Scar's passing in 2022 from an overdose. When Scar passed, fans noticed Big 30 didn't show up to the funeral. He later said it was a miscommunication, not disrespect, and posted, "I don't care who was there, I love you dearly." He and Big Scar had made tracks together, so people knew that loss hit him hard. Big 30 reps KSBG, a set that's rumored to be beefing with Double R now, but the politics are messy. Most of it isn't full-on battle, just layers of personal drama between people who used to be close. Big 30's cousin also claims money back. Yo only signed them for protection after that first diss track leak, saying he was scared to move around Memphis alone. Big 30 even went online accusing Moneyback of paying dudes from his hood for security and selling out local ties just to stay safe. He also said Moneyback was chasing clout and begged for a big bread gang chain from Pushisti, but Shiesty turned him down flat. Big 30 said it straight. Nobody in Memphis respected Moneyback until he started hanging with him and Noki, and when Noki died, Big 30 claimed Moneyback went silent. No support, no love, just distance. That's when the respect snapped, and what used to be brotherhood turned into open hostility on wax and in the streets. Moneyback Yo fired shots at Big 30, claiming he fell off the map after Pooh Shiesty got locked up. But Big 30 clapped back, saying it wasn't that he fell off. He was too busy handling real-life street business for Noki. He said he couldn't stay in rap mode like Moneyback because he was outside dealing with things you can't put in a song. Then Big 30's homie Big Dirty jumped in again, setting the record straight about the jewelry drama. He said the only thing Moneyback ever gave him was a cheap-ass Cardi, and that he paid him back anyway. Big 30 reminded everyone that he'd been stacking money since he was 18 and didn't need a handout from anybody, especially not Moneyback. He even took it further, saying Moneyback just copies Lil Baby's whole wave and calling Lil Baby his real father. Straight disrespect on wax. Big 30 aired Moneyback out so bad that fans were shocked when he later said in an interview he wasn't even pressed about it. But that calm didn't last long, because when Moneyback dropped his new album, he took even more slick shots, keeping the feud alive and unpredictable. Nobody knows where it'll go next, but it's clear neither side is backing down. What makes it all deeper is that in Moneyback's new diss, he referenced his old collab with Young Dolph, rapping, "Was up a ticket when I was hollering, I need a plug." That line had fans dissecting every word, trying to figure out if he was calling out Big 30 or throwing shade over Dolph's old circle. And then there's the tragedy that haunts this whole situation: Noki's passing. Some in the city claim his homicide was connected to beef surrounding Moneyback, but the streets stay quiet about the real story. What's known is that Noki was one of the most active young dudes in Memphis before he passed. He first got locked up at just 14, and during that time he started listening to Moneyback's music, saying it inspired him to switch lanes. When Noki came home at 18, he linked up with Moneyback for real, and rumor says Moneyback even showed him $700,000 in cash, telling him to get in the booth and leave the streets behind. But sadly, it didn't end that way. On January 28, 2022, Noki was shot and ended in Whitehaven, the same night he was supposed to pull up to Big 30's show to show love. The loss shook the city, and that's when the tension between Big 30 and Moneyback Yo turned from quiet resentment into all-out battle. A few hours after Noki left the show, tragedy struck. He was found passed. When paramedics pulled up to the scene, rumors immediately started spinning through Memphis. People were saying the tension between Moneyback Yo and Big 30 might have somehow tied into Young Dolph's homicide, since everyone in that circle had links to rival crews. But the whispers didn't start there. Many claim this all really traced back to when Moneyback first linked up with Yo Gotti, setting off a chain of alliances and betrayals that never fully cooled down. Some people in the city swore that Noki's passing was payback connected to Moneyback's old beef, but early on, there wasn't any solid proof, just word of mouth and street talk. Then months later, things got even darker when Big 30's homie Chief Dollar was shot and unalived in the exact same neighborhood where Noki had been unalived. Nobody knew who did it, but the streets went quiet again, until 2024, when 2 young mob members got charged for Chief Dollar's ending. Police later said young mob affiliates were also involved in a wild shootout just a year before that, in May 2023. According to reports, Stupid Duke, Paul Nelson, Rodnick Winston, and another suspected young mob member rolled up to Tug's Casual Grill in Harbor Town and opened fire at a guy chilling on the patio. The man ran inside trying to escape, but the shooters chased him through the restaurant, with around 50 people still eating inside when shots started flying. In the chaos, Rodnick Winston got hit. His crew rushed him to a fire station for help, but it was too late. He didn't make it. Soon after, police arrested Muhammad Samba and Quentin Moss for Chief Dollar's homicide, both linked to the same violent network. Rumors around Memphis say all of this chaos ties back to Moneyback's long-standing tension with Young Mob. Remember, Young Mob and Yo Gotti had real street beef going back years, so when Moneyback joined CMG, he inherited that heat too. The talk is that his old homies from Young Mob started pressing him heavy, questioning his loyalty and moves. That's when, according to street gossip, Moneyback started linking up with dudes from KSBG like Big 30 and Noki for protection and backup. None of it's officially confirmed, but in Memphis, perception is reality, and every rumor adds more fuel to the tension. What started as music turned into street politics, and what used to be friendships turned into a web of revenge, loyalty, and tragedy. According to some alleged paperwork floating around, KSBG had been out here putting in work against Young Mob, all for money back. The doc supposedly named Brian Lackland, aka Stupid Duke, as being deep in the beef with DW, and it even lists Moneyback's real name, Demario White. The paperwork claims that once Moneyback started rolling heavy with KSBG, a few shooters from that crew tried to take out Stupid Duke outside a Memphis barbershop back in 2021. That was when everything started spiraling for real. Now it's clear this drama runs way deeper than fans ever realized. What people once thought was just a rap feud is actually built on years of betrayal, old alliances, and street politics that never died out. If these rumors hold any truth, it paints a brutal picture. That Moneyback's connection to KSBG might have led to the unalivings of Big 30's cousin Noki and his homie Chief Dollar. To Big 30, that's not something you move past. That's personal pain turned into permanent beef. Memphis has always been wild, but right now it's hotter than ever. The city's rap scene stays mixed with real street tension, and everyone's watching to see how this plays out next. Hopefully both camps can step back before the bodies pile up again, because too many lives have already been lost over this madness. So what do you think about this situation? Is there any chance Moneyback Yo and Big 30 could ever make peace, or is it too far gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe, share the video, and I'll see you on the next one.